Hello, everybody. Can everybody in back hear me fine? Because I got this lovely wired, hands-free mic, so I hope everybody can hear me fine. As she said, my name is Patrick Dulebohn, also known as Doobes in the cavern. I have been age building since 2007 for Uru and Mist Online. I have created such ages as Chisopreniv. We got Vile Savan, the Memorial Age. Huh? Yeah. Well, I suppose you can't really see it, yeah, because of the, Anywho, yeah, they're dark ages as it is. So anyway, and of course the Guild of Messengers pub. If you were to see it, it has a lot of people populating it. So they're pretty popular, which is kind of nice. So today, I am going to show you guys how to start and build your very own basic age for Mist Online. Actually, and it's done. Hang on a second, I got notes here. I got like 3 devices to dig on here. All right, get out of here. Okay, so how we do this is a lovely plugin for Blender called Korman. This was developed by our friends at the Guild of Writers, the Huru team. This has been in development since, 2012? Around there? Yeah. And I myself got into testing it at around 2015, and since then just been working with it. As you can see there, we got Chisopreniv on the splash screen. That one was actually the first age I actually built completely in Corman. So, yeah. Before that, we had the lovely plugin. Their precursors were the Max plugin, which is what Cyan used. And before that, or after that, was PYPRP, which used a much older version of Blender, which you could still use, but it's kind of outdated and not updated anymore. Corman is actually in active development, so that's the one we kind of regularly use. Plus, Corman has a few advantages that PYPRP did not. One of them is it can export directly for Mist Online. It can also, if you want, export for the Complete Chronicles version, and also if you happen to have Uru Prime, it can export for that as well. So you can export for 3 different versions of Uru on the fly with Plasma Games down here. You can install each one and then just choose which one you want to export to, and then boom. So, yes. So we are going to get started. Let's see. Yes. All that. All right. So basically, to start your very first age, what you want to do is this is the panel that you really want to look at first. This is where you will get your, what we call a sequence prefix. Now, every age in Uru has a unique sequence so that it doesn't overlap on another age. So we have a list of this online in the wiki, on the Open Uru wiki, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get that thing to load, so we're just going to basically put in a random number, because the shard I'm using, it doesn't really require anything like that, so I'm just going to type in. So for that, you would go to the list. If you were going to, so basically if you were going to send it for inclusion in Mist Online, you would try to see what ages have already reserved a prefix, because the list has all of the Cyan Ages, plus all the ages we've released so far, which is, I think, 9 or 10, somewhere around that. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, basically you want to do this so you don't overlap, because otherwise it will crash Uru and there will be ugly things going on. So, but for the purposes of this test, we won't have to. We could just put a random number on this. So I will do that. Now for the name of the age. Obviously, this is just for the file name. As far as getting there, linking there, you can set other options to name it whatever you want. For instance, Eater Gira, or not Eater, Eater Chemo is named Garden in the files. So there's that. And there's a couple of Garrison versus Garrison. So basically, the file name can be something unique, and then you can rename it later through other means, usually by modifying the keys, scripts and stuff like that. So for this, we'll just do. We'll just do Mysterium Age just to make it easy. So now once you've named it, then of course it goes from the angry red. Now what I got here is the Destiny install. That is the shard that we use to pre-test everything that we get sent to Minkata first. And then Minkata has two different shards that, basically two different shards it filters through in order to really rigorously test before we send it off to our friend Mark DeForest, aka Shogun. And he is the one that puts it on staging for the final, quick checks and testing, make sure nothing blows up. And then that's when it gets sent off to MOULa in an update. So that usually runs maybe about 3 times a year, maybe 4 if we're lucky. But we're trying to scale that back to make the releases a bit more meaningful and so we can let some content cook a little bit more. So hopefully that will come to fruition. Harley, sit down. I know, you're just skittering my view. No, that's okay, I understand. No worries. Okay, so now that you've got all that set up, and then what you want to do, so you got your sequence prefix, your file name for your age. Now what you want to do in order to, for your very basic export, is you need, well, first off, you can clear off. Basically, this default file that comes up is something you can make yourself and then save as a default later on. So, however you want to set up your little workspace here, however you want to organize it, it is easy to do. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, just basically split windows like this. You can change it to something like, this, or not that, text editor. But yeah, so basically you can kind of work on multiple things at once as you build. So now, okay. So the two basic things you need when you want to really just basically start your age is a place to land and a place to spawn. So, or link in, whichever you want to call it, but it's a spawn point in the files. So, and I'm talking very basic here. Let's just do a grid. Now this grid we can basically make kind of a lot of subdivisions, so we'll do like 50 of those on X and Y. That'll really divvy things up. As far as the radius, now this is how far it'll go out from the center, so let's make that really, really big. And let's do, not big, but not, well, let's go bigger. Let's do 50, so it'll be 100 feet across. Of course, I won't see it because I got to zoom out. There we go. So now, you got that, and then for a spawn point, I keep forgetting that the it's not quite completely used to this thing. All right, there. Okay, so then we want to add, basically we want to add an empty object, what's called an empty object. Basically just a little point in space where the avatar is going to drop in. So add empty. Now as you go, and you can name this stuff some unique, so because otherwise you'll have empty 0.001. We'll go, now for Uru, the default name for these things is link in. It's okay if you walk in front of me, I don't mind. I could go for the distraction. All right, so but yeah, link endpoint default is the default spawn point for most of ages in Uru, so maybe the best one to start with. And now again, you don't have to rename everything, but it just helps if you're trying to look for a specific object and stuff. So, okay, but now you kind of got this, you kind of see what it's going on, but we don't have a sense of scale now, do we? So, to that end, there is a lovely blend, or an asset that we can use that will put, boom, that guy right there. I don't know who developed this particular little guy, but I like it because not only does it give you a sense of scale, but you got a corncob pipe as well. So, yeah, kind of cute. All right, so, but now this kind of gives you a sense of scale. So, obviously we have plenty of space to work with here. So, in order to make it a little less boring and flat, such as the points between Seattle and Spokane, if you drove here, you know what I'm talking about. So, in order to make it a little less flat, what you can do is just select a whole bunch of points just surrounding this. Then you can do this little connect dealie, and then go G and Z, and then, now that of course doesn't look right. However, if you do the page up button, we now have some hills. They are alive. Not with the sound of music though, that'll be later. So anyway, so now you can see we got a little playpen of an age to play in right now. So we have the actual land mass. Now we need to do this one, and you know, this is the fun, sort of fun part. Basically, everything you want to appear in the age needs a material and optionally a texture. So in that case, you just basically add in a new one. Just hit plus on there. And again, you can name those textures whatever you want. I mean, Cyan does this standard where they go like material, like number 348 or something like that. Kind of boring. Occasionally they'll name it something unique, but it's very rare. But again, you can name that whatever you want. You know, anything that's meaningful to you. And then and then you just need a texture too. And again, you can name it something just, and then, yeah, luckily when I use another tool, which I'll talk about later, it pulls all the textures from some of the ages, so be able to use a whole plethora of these things. Now the question is, do we have anything that has grass? Or even rock at this point, you know? But yeah, volcano, that's meaningful. Again, this is just for fun, so okay, so you got the material, you got the texture, but you still need to do one more thing in order to make it look somewhat proper. And that is to unwrap the texture. Now that you just basically just go into edit mode, unwrap, just hit U, unwrap, and then you got this very weird looking thing right here. And then to actually get it to appear, you just, okay, so now you can kind of see how it works. Now this is why this is, and Harley backed me up on this, is that why you always need to readjust all the UV mapping on this stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, like 500 or 600 times, or if you would not prefer to do that, all right, there we go. Otherwise, you can also modify the mapping on the texture over here to make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So we do, oh, that's right, it doesn't work in this mode. Okay. All right, give me a second here. That's better, okay. Clearly not, again, just for the purposes of this demonstration, we're just gonna, leave it just with some substance so we can actually see it, but it's gonna look like crap, so. My apologies, it's gonna be a bit of an eyesore, at least for now. Okay, so we have our land, but if we were to link in now, we would fall right through because it needs a bit of collision. Also, there's another thing too. The thing about this is that if you want anything to appear, you not only do you have to have a material and all that stuff, you also need to check this button right here. Now you can either do that individually, which would be a pain, or you can go over to the left side here and just, there we go, plasma objects, enable all, just turn it all on. However, we don't want this little guy appearing because he's just for testing purposes, so we turn him off. All right, so we have land. So now, like I said, we have land, it'll pop up, but if we link in, we fall right through. So after that, we add ourselves a little collision. Again, so it doesn't fall right through. Okay, now, obviously, since this is a very complicated mesh, and it's also not exactly a complete flat thing, we want to do triangle mesh. So that basically a triangle mesh is what it will, actually, the two big ones that we use are convex hull and triangle mesh. Now, triangle mesh is a bit more exact, but it's a bit more taxing as far as, going through the age. Yes, exactly. Convex hull, that one will give you some collision, but if it's a very complicated item like this, then it's going to basically just flatten everything out, and you'll pretty much just be walking in the air over everything, because it'll just box or bubble or basically wrap around that. So yeah, for this one, we'll want triangle mesh. Now you got these options here, block avatars, that's obvious. This will block the camera if you don't want to go passing through the rock, which we don't. Now blocks dynamics, that also keeps the kickables from falling through. And then of course it's terrain, so we'll check that too. All right, so what else we got here? Okay, so we got the basics. We did the landscape. Okay, so we have our land. Now we just got to add our sky. Now, for that, you can do one of two things. The easiest way, although it looks very weird because it's just one solid color, is modifying the clear color right here. Now, if we were to export it now, it would be all black, which would look incredibly weird. So, you want to, I mean, if we really wanted to just use a solid color, which again will look weird, but you know, if it's just like a sky dome you're using for like a small enclosed, then it could probably work, but I'd recommend using a texture. So anyway, as Atris would say, try moving the slider. And just put it up to white, and then you can just adjust it for whatever color sky you want. It looks like it's good. Now obviously fog color, if your age is going to have a little fog, you're going to kind of want that to sort of match the clear color as well. We can copy out the hex on that. And we'll just match those up. A good 95% of the Cyan Ages are just, you know, same color fog, same color clear, just in case. So, okay. So yeah, but in this case, we are going to do a sky dome. So here's what we're going to do. So if we do that, we want to do a sphere. And so we add a mesh and a UV sphere. Now, obviously, that's not big enough, so so we're going to have to make that like incredibly much bigger. So we're going to go S, and let's do, we'll do 1,000. Obviously, we can't see it because it's. Then we'll increase this so we can see it. There we go. And then backface calling in order to actually see into the sphere, or we're supposed to anyway. Oh, I know why. Okay. And recalculate back in. Okay. So now we have a sphere, and the normals are facing in, so that'll basically just be our sky. So, all right. But at the same time, if it's this shape, it's going to look a little weird. So what we want to do is we also want to shrink it along the z-axis and just flatten it a little bit like this. As far as unwrapping that, well, best one is to do a sphere projection, see if that doesn't work. And we're definitely not using the rock texture. So, I mean, we could, but actually, no. We could, but I think I have something else we could use. I just got to open it up. So again, we got to do another material. Let's see, sky dome. Oop, I hit a caps lock there. And another texture. And then, let's see if I can find the texture I'm looking for. I know kind of the sort of the name of it, so let's see if I can find it. Maybe not. Yeah. I must not have been okay. Anyway, okay, so all right, if that's the case, again, if you just want something solid, then you can change the diffuse color. Just have it. That wasn't what I wanted. No. There. And then just make it there. Okay. So now we have a sky. Granted, it's a very untextured sky, but I thought I had put the sky texture from the cleft somewhere, but it looks like I didn't have it. So I got it confused with my PC, I suppose. Okay, so all right. So now we have our sky, we have our land. However, if we were to export it now, it would be complete, well, except for the sky, since I put it shadeless, it would be completely dark. So in order to remedy that, we will add ourselves a nice little sun lamp. Come on, there you go. Okay. So now we got it all sitting around here. Now we want it to point at the land. So I'll select the land. I've got the lamp selected, land selected, and then track 2 constraint. See, now it's pointing towards the land, so hopefully we'll get all the sun that it needs. Now, let's see. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the power of the sun, we can probably up that to 1.5. And I think everybody who's built Ages will tell you lighting is probably the hardest thing to get right. I mean, especially to make it look good in an engine as old as Plasma, it is definitely a absolute challenge to do. So, but, oh boy, oh I see, okay. If your model, if your mesh looks a little bit like this, as in a little squared, all you gotta do is just select it, and then right under here under shading, in this little thing, you smooth it out. Now it's not supposed to shine like that because it's got it's got specular on. So if you get shiny, you should just turn that down to 0. See, now we got that. So now if we move this, we can night, day, oop, night, day. But we want a day, so we'll do that. Now, as far as just regular lighting, you definitely want a little, you got the main sun, but obviously in lighting in real life, you definitely want a little bit of diffuse light too, to just basically bounce off of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that particular lamp, that sun lamp, put it a little opposite of the other one, and we're going to turn it a little bit down to like 0.4. Maybe also put the color down a little bit too. So that way you have the full power of the sun just beating down on the lamp, but you also have a little diffuse for the sunlight that bounces off other things. There's a lot more stuff that can go into it too, but it is definitely a process that we definitely do not have time for. Okay, so that should give us some light. Now, in order to get this instead of full bright, what we want to do, we'll add I gotta add these under group. So these lights, we're gonna group them up. If I can actually select both of them. There we go. Okay. Add them to a group. Because the lighting modifier that we use for just lighting things in general, and what Corman will do is it will bake it on the fly, is it needs a light group. So we're going to do that right now. So we'll do Age Lights. And we'll group the other one in with it. There. Now they should be both in there. Then, basically anything you want to have be lit, and then basically if you want it lit each time that you export, then you will want to add a bake lighting modifier. This is basically going to tell Corman, hey, we need this thing, we need the lighting we just selected baked. So now you can do light map texture, which will give you really specific shadows and will look pretty good, but it's also a bit taxing, and it'll also grow your texture PRP to astronomical proportions, which I'm sure some in the audience will say that I do way, way too often. And I do, I admittedly do. If you've ever seen the PRPs for my Ages, they're literally in the hundreds of megabytes, which is pretty big for Ages. So if you don't want that, you can always do something called vertex colors, which is basically a less accurate version, but it will also produce some pretty good lighting and you can also edit it on the fly too. So bake pass 1, that's just default. And then we'll select the group. We did the age lights, the 2 lights that we have here. So now each time we export, even if we move the various lights or add new ones, and as long as we add them to the group, it will relight each object that has that modifier, so that all the lighting will be updated when you export. So, all right. So we got lighting now. What else we got? Bear with me, I'm going by notes here because it's just easier to have a little. Okay, ooh, yeah. We do what we call an environment map. And that's basically a lovely little reflection. So here's what we'll do for that. We're going to select our land. And we got the very middle of it here. I think we'll make a little pond of sorts, just right there. And then Come on. There we go. So we got a little place for a little bit of water to accumulate. So in order to chop that, what we're going to do is chop that up a little bit. So let's switch back to wireframe because it's a lot easier that way. And we'll cut a straight line right on the bottom here. So there, that will, yeah, okay. So that basically cut a nice little place for this pool to go. Now, in this instance, you can use one of two things. And what we're probably going to do is an environment map, because the other option is what's called a wave set. These are this is the kind of ripply water that you see in Ages like Ader Chemo or Dulebohn on Myst 5. So, and in Eder Neighbory, yes, I'm name dropping. But yes. But that's a little bit more complicated. So for time constraints, we're going to just basically do what's called an environment map, which is almost as accurate, but it doesn't have like the fun ripples or anything. It's basically going to be a stagnant pond. So let's separate that out. Still got all our mapping and everything. Still got all the mesh and the vertex coloring, so that'll get colored along with everything else. But now that we got that cut, we're going to basically try to move cursor to here. We're going to add ourselves a flat plane just to simulate water, basically. And plane. And we'll just grow this so it encompasses everything there. All right. All again, except for this guy. We're going to do this a few times just so I don't forget and something doesn't export at the end. So, okay. So now this is a little bit different. It still needs material, obviously. Go. Now for the texture, instead of an image, we're actually going to use an environment map. So instead of image or movie, yes, a movie can go in there. I don't know if it actually exports it, but yeah, I didn't think so either. Yeah, that's still in the works. So instead of that, we'd go to environment map. And that offers a few options. In this case, what we're going to do is called a dynamic camera map. So actually what we need now. So we're going to have an animated plane. Basically, if it were static, it would still work, but it wouldn't reflect the avatar. So it would look a little weird. Although it already looks a little weird in Descent, but that's another story. Yeah. So we want it animated because that way it will update what's being reflected. So if you have like a day-night cycle in your age, you would want something like that to be animated instead of static. Otherwise, if you just have one particular time of day and it doesn't change, then you would want it static just to basically keep it from getting too, otherwise it gets basically, Plasma doesn't like it. It's very laggy, exactly. So, okay, but before we get too much farther, a dynamic camera map needs a little reference in order to reflect properly. And to do that, we need another empty that says where to reflect things. Make sure that's on. And we'll call this the pond dummy, because that's basically these dummy objects are basically telling various things what to reflect and where to reflect it, what point to reflect it from. So we're going to use that. Let's make sure that's on. Okay, good. We go back to the texture. Make sure we're not going over on time here. Ooh, yeah. All right, let's see. So viewport objects is going to be our pond dummy. I just love saying that because it is a big dummy. All right. As for the clipping, basically you're going to want to make that, you want to make that as big as you can, because otherwise it will just reflect what's very, very close and nothing else. So, okay. Now here you got a couple options. Obviously we want it to render avatars. The environment map color is basically like the clear color in the regular settings, is that it basically the color that it will reflect if there is blank space. So what we're going to do is, we'll make that the sky color just in case. And then we'll add our Oops. Skipped a step. Okay. Yes. But yes, our viewpoint object, the dummy, also needs its own modifier for this, which is a visibility control. This, again, will basically tell Uru, hey, at this point right here, reflect everything on the z-axis. So, and we want special effects. We don't want to hide the drawbells. All right. Go back here. All right. Render here. Nope. Yeah, gotta select the object. Okay, now our pawn dummy is in there. Basically, you gotta add that thing in order, otherwise, Corman is smart enough to recognize, hey, this thing doesn't have anything on it. What do you want it for? So, that's all set up. The last step is basically everything we want to reflect now. We have to give us another particular little modifier here, and that's the visibility set. This will basically tell Uru, yes, we want to reflect it through this dummy right here. And then that will say, texture, you got to reflect this thing. So, so if we did this right, it will reflect these mountains. So, fingers crossed. All right. What else we got? Just realize I'm running out of time here, so I gotta see what we can do. Okay. Now, another little lovely feature of Corman is it does have some pre-made stuff that you can add in. And these are just the basics so far. There's going to be some more later on in line, but these are the big three. And that is lamp flares. Those are basically you walk up at a lamp and it's a little hazy and a little halo of stuff. And it kind of follows you, like one of those weird paintings. So you would put those with lamps and anything that's lit in a dark space, obviously. And then, what else we got here? Another very helpful tool is the ladder tool. Now this one will set everything up for you. It won't texture anything, but it will give you the basics in order to make a particular height of a ladder here. You can adjust everything down right here in the settings. Just add ladder. You can name it. You can say how high you want it. In this case, it's 6 feet. Let's do like 12. But yeah, that can be adjusted. And the width of it, yeah, you can make it like 30. Let's try like 15. No, didn't like that? Oh, apparently didn't like that. Okay. So apparently width 30 is the is the bare minimum. But yeah. Let's not put that over our water though. That would be weird. Okay. So we got that. And then the last one that's on there is a linking book, or at least the bare bones version of one. Basically, you take it from there. It'll show you what it looks like here. This is just a very bare bones starting point. This will give you the region, the place the avatar walks up to, and then also where the clickable should be. So, yeah, I'm not gonna leave that in there. It just looks weird. Okay, so you got see, linking book spawn, the seek point where it basically steps up to the book, and then the region so that it knows where exactly you can click the book, and then the actual clickable right here, or where the panel should be, I should say. But we're not gonna keep that there. But yeah, there's plans for more, but those are the big three right now. So, all right, now, also I do want to do a quick thing because my buddy Age Explorer is getting into sound design. I'm going to show you how to add sounds real quick. It's not too terribly difficult. You basically just need which sound you want to use and exactly what it's going to be used for and all that stuff. So all you need for that is an empty, another one of those fun little things like just says, hey, this is where it starts, or this emanates from. And in this case, yes. So turn it on, the plasma object, do a sound emitter, add a new one. All right. Let's see. Now the question is, where did I save those sound effects? No, but yes. I'm actually gonna have to just do one as just default here. Now, unfortunately, since Uru has quite a lot of sound effects, it takes a lot of time to load them a little bit. Oh good. Well, most times it does, but I think it's because I preloaded them earlier. So, but you can see you got all. You basically just use anything here. Again, Brad, I'm sorry, I can't find them right now. I downloaded them, but I don't know where the heck I put them on my computer. So, in the interest of time, yes. So I'm sorry, I probably. So, let's see. Oh yeah, I can't do that. That one's the fun one. But you get, let's just, we won't start it. Actually, yeah. We'll do an ambient sound, just because those are easiest. Now, you have obviously a couple of options for sounds. You got 3D, which is basically a one-point sound effect where it'll emanate from a certain distance and then disappear. Ambiance, that's, of course, just something that plays through the entire age, or at least wherever you choose it to. But there's a whole other thing with soft volumes you can do. Music, obviously. And then these other two are, they're there, but they're rarely used because we don't really do NPCs at the moment, and nor GUIs, but they're there at least. So for future updates, in this case, we're going to use ambiance. We want to do auto start and then loop that. As far as the volume, I'm going to hope that this does not deafen everybody. So we're going to just do just 3 just to be safe, because I don't want this thing to blast through the speakers. All right, so we'll leave that. That's on, right? Okay, good. So what else we got? Again, we're running out of time here. So I'm going to be able to take some questions. And then I got a little something at the end to show you, which I hope you'll enjoy. Boy, I had a lot of stuff planned, but there's so much to cram in. But the lovely part is that on the OpenUru Discord and on the Guild of Writers IRC chat, we have plenty of people who will be happy to help you learn this stuff and learn get through the little ins and outs of these things. Harley is one of them. I was actually one of the people that taught them how to do it. So, and then of course, they had to fly on their own for a little bit. So, but I will say it is a very difficult modeling program to master. But if you can master it, then you can make some really great stuff. I mean, my stuff I did, it took like years to do, and it took years to learn. I've been learning this since 2007, and even I still don't have it all down. So, but the beauty part is basically you experiment, you try new things, and just see what works. If it doesn't work, lovely. Luckily, there's saves. There's different saves you can do. You should see how many versions of the pub I have. I literally have about 50 different blends of that pub. And that's just from before it got onto Genshard, so, So you're going to be doing a lot of trial and error in booting up what we call Destiny Shard. I did go briefly into that. That is the shard that we use, that was developed by some friends, some German friends of ours, and it uses the Huru client. So it's got all the nice bells and whistles there, which we are hoping to get to MOULa at some point.
To-do list.
Yeah, I know, we got a very long to-do list as far as OpenUru, so. And it's going to be needed for our wonderful Mac and Linux clients that are coming up, because I know some of you have been trying to get all that stuff working on those and really having a time. So, but native clients are coming. We have 2 people in the audience right now who are working on either or. So we got Mac Code Monkey and we got Depogue, who are working on the Mac and Linux versions respectively. And of course our main man Hoikus over there. He's the one who basically keeps us from doing too much weird crap, right? So. You do, yes. No, that man I'm glad that man's a teacher, because if he has the patience of a saint when it comes to my stupid programming. Because I myself have contributed Corman, and that man is very patient just looking at my gobbledygook and going, okay, here's where you need to change this, here, 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 here. If he wasn't a teacher, I'm sure he would have told me to F off a long time ago. So, thank you, Hoikus, for that. All right, so let's see what else we can do. I want to get a couple questions in. So, let's see. Yeah, I do want to go a little bit into the ZLZ importer. So what we'll do is we'll see if we can export this and hope it doesn't crap out. I did some test runs, so hopefully this will, since it's a small age, it won't be too bad. So let's test it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Why is this not working now? This was working before.
You've been banned
No. No, Mysterium and I, no, Mysterium actually wrote the music for ZLZ Savant, so him and I are pretty tight. So I'm thinking this is just some, yeah, the Wi-Fi is probably, yeah, unfortunately the Wi-Fi, yeah, there it is. The Wi-Fi. Come on. Where is it? Oh, is that free? Is that, okay, let's try that. And hope like heck that it works. Okay, okay, let's give it a shot. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, I modded it, by the way. You might recognize this.
A little?
Oh yeah, the intro? You bet. Uh-oh. We're not getting any sound, unfortunately. Uh-oh. Hang on. Well, we'll let the... Just because I like this intro, so I did the whole modifications in order to get it to run. All right. So, okay, enough of that. Whilst Uru is loading, that might take a moment, so let's see. Yeah, it's on the Sony. Here. It's got to load the global first. Let's see if this is. I'm doing the thing. Is it coming up? Yep. Yep. Come on, click. Okay. It's not coming through though? Whoa! So, as you can see, there's a lot of trial and error involved in this. Doobes is embedded in the rock.
That a few times.
So, Kelly, you're not the only one that had a little gaffe today, okay? Look at It's an inchworm. Look at that. Woo!
That's one way to make an age.
Got to do this. There you go. Yeah, it's tablet mode. That's what happened. Oh, God. Okay, so yes, again, there's some trial and error needed there. That was fun. Okay, yeah, I got to admit, that was pretty funny. Okay, so that's why, this is why we test, folks, yes. There we go. Okay, but now I'll quickly go over another tool that we use in order to, what we're doing to use to convert Cyan Ages into blends that we can then export and then edit. It's called the ZLZ Age Importer. And that what that does is it basically takes the existing files from the Uru install and I'm going to try to find something that will convert easily, I hope. And it basically picks it apart and is going to translate it into something that we can work on in Blender. Now, unfortunately, this is it's not the most perfect way. It's not going to give you a perfect age right off the bat. You're going to have to adjust some textures. You're going to have to actually rewire everything. But for the purposes of this, see, in 15 seconds, we had the Barron City office. And let me get the solid here so you can see what it looks like. Now you see the colors there. That means that there's some texture weirdness that needs to be sorted. But as you can see, pretty much gives you everything you need. It's a start, basically, but it does need to be a little finessed in order to get it exportable to something that we can use. So, but yeah, but I've already got, much like cooking shows, I already have something pre-baked. So I'm going to open that right now. That's it. Yes, I named it. You know the one. You'll probably figure it out once you see it. And boom, we have Mist Library. Because it's the 30th anniversary, so as you can see, it's not much in Uru, except it does still seem to have the rhyme container down here.
It's part of the floor.
It's part of the floor, I know. But yeah, as you can see, this one is actually a little bit more complete. And now I tested this earlier, so I'm hoping that this won't do its weird thing. It does export you right side up, so we're going to test this age too. And this is the lovely part about Korman, is it will start Uru for you once you're ready to go, instead of having to just go and find the icon and stuff. So when you test age, it will not only export things for you, but it will also start Uru right away. Ooh. Okay. All right, I already wowed them with that. Loading. Yes, you're going to see that a lot while you're age building because you're going to keep going in and out and in and out. Bing, boom. And there it is. Well, you can kind of see it. Mist library. And this is the exported version. So obviously some things are not on, but it's essentially the same thing. And then to compare it, we'll actually go to the original just for comparison here. There we go. You getting any sound over there? Because it should be some sound. See? So, except for the calendar spark in the middle, it's essentially the same thing. But it's the calendar spark and everything else that was supposed to be there is built in. It's just that the SDL file, which basically tells Uru what has been saved and what hasn't been turned on and all that stuff, is not on Destiny for what I so originally called Mist 02. So, but essentially all the parts are there, except for one thing, and that's the particles on here. That's one of the few things that Corman has left to do, but that is in the works, as well as, pop-up GUIs. Those are fun, and they'll be coming. But for the most part, I mean, you can do pretty much almost anything that Max can do with Corman. So, all right. But yeah, that gives you an idea of how that goes. Let's see what else we got here. We're getting close to the end. All right, so 2 version difference. Okay, so again, we're coming to the end here. So I'm going to take a couple questions, if that's cool. Do we have anybody with a mic that wants to run around and do the thing? Oh, that's right, that's you. So if anybody's got questions.
Test. Okay, that's working.
Yes.
Yes, questions. Raise your hand. I will run the mic.
Anybody got questions? And I know it was a bit technical, I'll give you that, so. It can be basic
One
questions
guy in the
like,
back. One moment.
Nope. Run, Harley, run!
How would interior lighting work compared to exterior lighting? Like, is interior lighting harder or easier?
It depends on how much space and how much lighting you have. With inside lighting, if you're not having anything coming from outside, it's actually quite easy because you would use a point lamp in each lamp that you use. And that would just, it's just basically you place those around and adjust the energy and the radius and stuff like that. I would dare say it's probably simpler because outdoor lighting is, with the diffuse and everything else, is far more difficult, I would say. It's to get especially right. So if you got something like a cavern location, I genuinely would say that would be much easier to light because all you have is just the lamps and everything else, and it's a dark cavern, so that's basically the only light source. You might want 1 or 2 diffuse lamps, but outside of that, it's actually, I think, easier. So, anybody else?
One moment. I apologize that I'm a little slow. My foot is hurting quite a bit.
Oh, no, you're fine. That's okay. I think we'll only do a couple just because I know I'm running out of time here.
So I am not an artist, but I am a programmer.
Yes.
How could I get involved in working in stuff in the back end?
You talk to the Huru team, the Guild of Writers. They are the best in the business. And I'll say this loud and clear. All the advancements we've had in the Huru engine and everything, the plasma engine, everything else, which we're hoping to get to Mist Online at some point, is the Huru Guild of Writers team. So, yes.
They're a great
So you
group.
would want to talk with them on their IRC or their forums. It's guildofwriters.org. We also do have a presence on the Open Uru Discord. And they also have forums too, but I don't think they're working either. And we'll quit out there. Discord would be better because it's a very, very, it's actually a very active presence there. So this is true, yes. So you get quick response.
Talk to them in person now.
Yes, exactly. Quite a few of our Huru team is here, so, but I don't know if they want to be harassed or not, so. Send your questions in writing, so.
Valid.
Can we test sound again? Because I got the one last thing, and hang on a second. Oh, no, you're okay. You guys are working hard. Again, can we give a hand to our Mysterium team? Seriously. Our AV team, all the guys that put this together, thank you. Really. Yes, give them a hand. They deserve it. Seriously, this does not seem easy. And they were very diligent, very nice about setting this up, and then all of a sudden it just, go figure.
It's technology. Sometimes it just explodes.
This is true. How are we doing for time, Kelly?
We're very much out.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Unfortunately, you're only going to get visuals. And if the stream is getting the sound, they're going to get some good sound. But I will be releasing this particular video on YouTube, on my Ages of Doobes channel. So if you want to view it later, it will be live immediately after this. So, but you guys will get the first look. All right. Just picture Escher and Yisha voiceovers on this. Again, you guys will be able to see it once I put it live. I'll do it once I'm done here.
Stand in awe.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy.
Regaro Tigwa.
It's dark too.
The great shaft,
Yes, you can kind of sort of see its descent.
built by those from beneath,
Great shaft.
my people.
Yes. For those that don't know, I've taken the files that Cyan has provided us.
You will start this journey where I started,
Missed online.
where my father Atris started, where my great-grandmother Tiana
You saw
started.
the caldera. Yeah, I've redone a lot of.
Perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
And don't worry. Yeah, and also some of the wiring for the elevators. Yeah, and also modified those for the avatar. Yeah, it's basically going to be like what we've seen before in the demo and Myst 5, but with a Myst Online kick. So, as you can see, we made a lot of progress getting that working. It's not easy because some of the scripts haven't been ported over, but since it was from Myst 5, it's actually been pretty easy. All the pieces were there. It's basically just assembling things to make it look good. Real-time lighting for you there. Dark. And a little bit of a promise of something new that you haven't seen in Myst 5 before. Okay. Yep, that's coming this year, hopefully. The first of many expansions on that, by the way. Okay, I have overran my time a little bit, so I'm going to say thank you for having me. And yeah, if you have any age building questions, there is a thread on the Mysterium Discord channel about this one. So if you have questions, you can put them on there. I'll try to answer them. And I will also put that trailer up on YouTube on Ages of Doobes, the YouTube channel there. And thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Doobes.